All right, how's it going out there, folks? Welcome back here to a Wednesday. It is 10:29 a.m. California time here. August 13th, 2025 is the date. Latest activity here on the globe shows 1.5 into the Alaska area. Just a heads up, having some issues accessing the EMSC data here on the globe, which I normally have. That's why it looks a little absent there of smaller quakes around various areas of the globe here that the USGS does not cover. Normally it's a combined data event of USGS and EMSC, but right now, for whatever reason, having some issues there accessing the EMSC data, even though we got it marked here for a combined feed. All right, let's go ahead and see what's going on here. One earthquake, there's a 5.3. This follows that deeper activity here yesterday. Nothing big happening yet around this area of Indonesia, but yesterday had about 3 earthquakes there that were pretty darn deep. Looks like we had another one there late. Well, that's back over here, but there was a couple deeper quakes in this area around the Banda Sea. This is just one of them there from yesterday. Watch this area for some larger movement potentially here. We've seen a bunch of deep earthquake activity, and that normally leads to some larger quake activity in the region. For now, just a 5.3 in this area. To the north, this is still somewhat deep as well, though about 45 miles deep underneath the area. Also over here around the Guam area, some further movement this morning with another 5.1. Pretty shallow there across the subduction zone. One earthquake out here across the Japan area. That does look like it's in the Nankai Trough zone. That is still another area that we're watching here for some megaquake activity. Looks like it's on section A here. It goes A, B, C, D, E. There's technically 5 segments, and when they rupture out here, historically they go in, they kind of go in pairs out here. Occasionally all at once, but most of the time we'll see a couple different sections rupture in a big megaquake, and then sometime shortly later we've seen them just days apart and sometimes years apart where the further segments will rupture. But this one here is right around A, it looks like, 4.4. Roughly about the same time everything else stirred up out here this morning. Again, right around the southern edge of the Nankai Trough. So I do want to double check that from the Japan Meteorological Agency here. We'll see if anything is shown up there in terms of swarming nature. There's a 2.1, 3.8. There's that 4.2 this morning. Yeah, definitely within that segment of the Nankai Trough. I don't see any elevated activity in terms of any major uptick, but a little bit more than yesterday in that area. Up into the Russia region, a handful of earthquakes, 4s and 5s. 11 earthquakes there, and I'm sure many, many more of smaller magnitude, but nothing big overnight. Just some upper 4s and some low-grade 5s, which could continue for a number of weeks following that big 8.8 earthquake that struck there last month. Alaska area, nothing big going on. One earthquake outside of Anchorage from yesterday. Aside from that, mostly smaller microquake activity out there today. No noticeable uptick. Through the Washington area, a little bit calmer. Nothing going on today, supposedly. No more earthquakes at Mount Rainier? Well, let's go double check here. You know how I kind of feel about that. I'm going to be showing the seismograph stations here and the data and what I think I see here on the seismographs, because I look at this all day. I've studied this for many years. We're going to go over here to the Mount Rainier seismograph station here. Nothing being reported as far as earthquake activity goes. So there's still, from what I can see, still what looks like earthquake activity, although a little less. It was picking up yesterday and last night up until about 9 or 10 o'clock. Today, a little bit less active. But if you go back to the previous UTC time, you can see that these are earthquakes. They have to be. There's another station over here that we can kind of compare the data to as well. It looks like this finally came back online. Maybe. There we go. And definitely some earthquake activity over there as well. Not as active as what we've seen last month, though. Let me just show you a real quick comparison here. July 9th should be a good date. You know, there was a lot of earthquake activity showing up, but it showed up more prominently on the other station around the northern side of Mount Rainier. But, and that's this station up here, kind of closer to the swarm if you really think about it. The swarm started down south here a little bit, but still a distance away from this seismograph station, and then worked its way up north in a migration fashion. But it was this seismograph station here that was picking up it much higher in terms of the visual here. That's what it looked like on this seismograph station. So pretty active. These are all earthquakes. To say these are ice breaking and high wind and it's a little crazy. I know there's a couple comments on there stating, well, why would they lie out here? People have family in the area. You know, why would the PNSN network and every other seismologists and geologists and scientists at work studying volcanoes and stuff like this, why would they lie? I don't think they're lying. I just, you know, for the longest time here, that many of these smaller quakes, even the smaller ones, were not counted. They can't locate them. I'm going to give you an example right here real quick, okay? Bear with me. We need to go back here and look at these earthquakes. And I'm going to show you real quick. We're going to go back to the 7th there. Today's the 13th. And we're going to draw a little area up around Mount Rainier here real quick. And we're going to zoom in here, show you guys the map so you can see where we're at. Not the ocean. That would not be good if the ocean's up that high. This is the Mount Rainier area. Okay, so they're reporting located. These are the official, here you go, folks, the verified, human-reviewed, yes, this is an earthquake list. 1,280 earthquakes, okay? And that's a lot. A couple added back there on the 11th, a couple more back on the 7th and 5th. But yeah, it looks like the swarms died down a little bit, huh? Okay, so this is just what a human has reviewed and said, yes, this is a 0.5 magnitude at, well, I picked the wrong earthquake there. Say, for example, 0.3 magnitude that occurred 0.5 kilometers deep on the 9th at this time, and they can locate these. They can pinpoint and verify and put out this information. So those are all verified earthquakes and ones that they can locate. Now the wording here, if you go over to their blog, careers, I don't know. Let's go back to the seismograph station here with the blog. Now, this was put out originally put out July 31st here when they came up with this number, 10,834. Okay, that's way bigger than what I just showed you guys over here, right? Which is only 1,200 and something for total tally. These are just the ones that they can pinpoint. Other earthquakes there, they're having issues locating them, determining the exact magnitude and depth. That's why they've come up with that this number right here. Total detection count for this preliminary catalog sits at 10,834. So that's, you know, a lot of earthquake activity, and a good percentage, probably 15% only got accounted for. So there's a huge amount that has not been added and verified and published to the earthquake catalog of the USGS right there. This is just the ones that they reviewed. There's so many of them that they probably never be able to go back and pinpoint every single one. But this is the counts that they're throwing out there. Over 10,000. I'm sure this is way more than that, okay? And then they just happen to put out a little information here that recently that a lot of the noise that we're seeing on the seismograph station are nothing more than ice breaking off. The warm weather is causing rock fall. A rock hit the seismograph station. It's like, I don't know. I mean, it seems a little odd. They call them surface events right here, right? Turn that off. And if you go and read further, they say it's falling rocks, ice breaking off, small landslides, and even strong wind gusts. And I've studied these graphs for years. I know what they look like. Why? I don't think these guys are lying. I just think that they're not stating that there's still earthquake activity occurring in there. They're just, yes, it doesn't look like last month, but if you go to the current time period, there's still earthquake activity, right? Those are earthquakes. Those are not rocks falling on the seismograph station. If they are, man, they're getting very lucky every day. For a rock to fall on the seismograph station. These should be buried anyway. So how is that? There's still earthquake activity is what's occurring. Those are earthquakes. This is today's time period. This is up to the current time. This looks similar to how the swarm looked back in July. Yesterday more so. These events right here, that's a technical glitch. It happens like every 12 hours. But these are well-defined spikes. I don't think they're lying. I just think that they're just not reporting all the quakes, such as the 10,000, almost 11,000 events that they claim happened with this activity. So if you guys want to check it out yourself, they have the PNSN network here, pnsn.org. Just go to there and then you can see their seismograph blog, talk a lot about it. The seismograph stations themselves there are on a map layout, but there's still earthquake activity occurring there. That's my observation, and I'm sticking to it, even though nothing's showing up here. Could you imagine opening this map and seeing 11,000 earthquakes at Mount Rainier? That doesn't mean it's going to blow. It just means there's a lot going on down there. There's no GPS signs there, signs of inflation going on, which is good. All right, Northern California, a couple earthquakes there from yesterday. Nothing going on today? All right, what's going on here? Pretty quiet out here, it looks like, at least in Northern California. Bay Area, a couple smaller earthquakes there. 2 from today in the 1 range. Nothing big going on there. Southern California, a little spotty. Only a handful of smaller quakes out there around the area of the San Andreas Fault and other various systems, fault systems out there. One noticeable uptick here I'll point out is looks like got some movement out here along the Brawley seismic zone, which is a kind of a spreading center out here. Normally when this stirs up, we do need to watch areas north here along the San Andreas Fault. We do have a couple smaller earthquakes here in the last hour showing up there, but no major swarm, just a little bit of activity down here that I figure I'd point out. Inland earthquake activity, nothing big. Yellowstone National Park, a handful of earthquakes out there as well. Let's see what else we got. Oil fields, nothing new out there in the oil fields of Texas, right? That's what happens out there. A lot of earthquakes that will continue. Eastern portion of the country, nothing going on. Someone mentioned here about an earthquake yesterday. I really don't. Let's see here. We had a couple yesterday. And a couple today. Well, that was on the 12th, early in the morning, 1 o'clock in the morning, yesterday morning. But I don't see anything of any newer activity there. Someone mentioned that they felt an earthquake yesterday, but I don't know if they'd be feeling a 1.8. Nothing showing up there on the graph for now, though. Out in Hawaii, a couple earthquakes underneath the area of Pahala. And, interesting, got a little bit more shallow earthquake activity around the area today, and some added from yesterday as well. Let's go see what's going on there, because this has been, the Kilauea volcano eruption has been very consistent with its episodes, and we're waiting episode 31 here at Kilauea Volcano on the Big Island of Hawaii. at any, well, not at any time. It should be in a number of days here. But I want to look at this graph, see if anything's changed. This is the electronic tilt at the Kilauea Summit and East Rift Zone. On cue here to go up, up, and up here for a couple days until we get to the maximum inflation level before an eruption happens. I don't see any change, but I do. It's going to be a number of days or so, probably 4 or 5 days, it looks like, maybe. But I was looking at these earthquakes that are popping up around the East Rift Zone here. These are not super shallow, but we do got to watch that because it's not going to stay a rinse and repeat cycle like that forever. Things change as the Pacific plate moves, and it's moved. You know, it moves very slowly, but when we get those big earthquakes out there across the eastern or western Pacific here, they can speed things up a little bit. And of course, the hot spot, Hawaii, as the Pacific plate moves, it will form new hot spots out here, and that can have an adverse effect on the system below, as far as the supply and whatnot goes up to the volcano, Kilauea volcano. Here's Loihi Seamount. We got a long time before that peaks out of the water, but a new chain of islands will be out here. Here's the former chains, eroded away through time. Interesting how that works, but yeah, I don't think anything major is changing anytime soon, but just want to watch that activity. Let's see if there's anything else. See, this is a bummer that the EMSC is not working on here, because really you can't see what's going on with New Zealand and other areas. So let's go over to the GeoNet servers real quick. Right after the update last night, there was a 4.9 right here. It looks like about 30 kilometers deep. Outside, 20 kilometers south of Hastings. Moderate earthquake. That looks like 5,870 people reported that, mainly around North Island there. Pretty shallow earthquake. Another earthquake in that same area. Looks like about an hour later. 3.6, 2.2, 2.1. Nothing big going on here, but New Zealand's been in the zone, so to speak, in terms of any larger movement. A lot of activity happening here around North Island. Some of that fairly deep as well. Got the Hikurangi subduction zone that sits offshore. See that fairly nicely here. That's a reason why we have so many fault systems up here, and the big time mega quake potential that sits offshore as well. So that's an area that's potentially overdue, but also the Alpine fault down here. A lot of movement south recently, kind of leaving this section just wide open here for some larger adjustment, which could take place here anytime. Just got to be prepared out there as well. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with the EMSC. That is weird. See, their servers are working fine as far as the actual website goes, but when you click the feed here, for whatever reason, that doesn't want to work. I got USGS working there, but EMSC will not connect to whatever, the main servers that this globe normally connects to get the data. But that's all right. We'll have to check back on that. Hopefully it fixes itself, because I don't want to be solely reliant on the USGS, because earthquakes come pretty quick, and sometimes it takes the USGS 15-20 minutes to report a quake out here. Got one earthquake there in Greece right now. Well, at least the last quake. That in the Sea of Crete. Pretty deep earthquake in that region. .5 away from the Santorini area, the volcano over there. That's 4.5. I don't see any major swarm out there. Still seeing a little bit of movement there across the Santorini area and the Colombo volcano region. This area had a huge earthquake swarm months back. Still seeing a little bit. Nothing became of it. No volcanic eruption, no big earthquake, just literally probably over 10, 15,000 earthquakes there in this area. Let me go over to the geophysics website here that monitor the seismograph stations there in the area of Greece. I want to see. There's a 4-pointer that came in. That just came in. That deep earthquake. That showed up quite nicely there. 4.5. But I don't see any major swarms going on in the region there, so that is good, but we'll keep an eye on it. See what I'm saying? That earthquake came in 4.5 magnitude, but USGS not even picking up on it yet. They're showing earthquake activity from yesterday. All right, let's see. Anything else going on here? I guess I better look at the EMSC data. I mean, there's typical clustering going on there across the. This is a really glitchy map. I don't know why. Ever since they updated it, it's like, it bugs me. I can't even deal with that. So, hopefully they get the earthquake 3D globe back with the data. Another earthquake it looks like there since I've been yakking. Oh no, maybe that one was there already. All right, so we'll see how this day plays out. Let's check out space weather activity real quick. Pretty much flatlining as expected with those two massive sunspot areas now way out there on the far side of the sun. Things have dropped off as expected. We're left with a couple different sunspots out here that are, well, I mean, there's numerous ones, but let's see what we got for the magnetogram image here. A little slow. Something going on here. It's not me. I don't think it's me. Yeah, some of these, man, I don't know. I guess maybe this area back here, but even so, it looks like it's died off overnight a little bit. This one's just about out of sight, out of mind. We're left with a whole bunch of disorganized sunspots out here. So yeah, we need to drop the flare threat if it hasn't dropped already. Right now, these guys are showing 55%, 10% for X flare, but this was attached to those two sunspots that are now no longer on the visible disk. So more than likely, I'm thinking probably about 30% chance for M flare. X flare, I would go probably 1% or less. I'll adjust my daily solar flare forecast there after this update. No major roars there in the forecast. Let's go ahead and take a close look here at the next 5 close approach asteroids. Close meaning, I really don't see anything super close here. This one's coming in 654,000 miles, 150-foot airplane size here on August 17th, but that is safe for the most part, millions of miles away for the other ones. Let's check out the hurricane potential, see if anything's been altered here on the map today. We'll check out the Atlantic over here. Got Tropical Storm Aaron out there spinning up, soon to be a major hurricane, but most models are staying consistent that this will not get anywhere near shore. Doesn't mean it won't stir up some waves out there though, but I don't see any close landfall with that hurricane, which is good. All right, seismograph stations all online for now. Have yourself a good one. We'll catch you guys out here a little bit later on for the Wednesday night update, folks. Take care.